Hey gaming fans, so today I have another Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile, and this is kind of an update to a deck that I've already talked about, and this is Fire Kings. So I did my other Fire King deck profile, and since that time I've gotten some additional cards and kind of just changed the way it runs. So I thought I'd just do another run through it just to show you the changes. And if you haven't seen it, well, I guess this will be new to you. So the first card is Fire King Avatar Kirin. I'm still keeping one in. I think in my original build I had 2 or 3 of them, but it's a level 3, so it kind of doesn't work in that regards with what I'm trying to do in this deck. But at the same time, it is a pretty decent Fire King in that it has the same effect. If a face-up Fire King monster you control is destroyed by a card effect, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. So, you know, it's somewhat handy at that regard. And if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you could send one fire monster from your deck to your graveyard. So I like it for its kind of foolish burial effect. You can just send any of your fire monsters you need into the graveyard to recur it back. So then the rest of the Fire Kings, I got Fire King Avatar Barong. This one I always like to play in 3s because it's your searcher of the deck. So it has the same effect. They all have the same effect at pretty much all of them anyways. If face-up Fire King you control is destroyed by a card effect, you could special summon this card from your hand. And then during the standby phase, after this card was destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can add one Fire King card from your deck to your hand. So that could be a spell card, it could be a monster card. Then I'm playing 2 of the Fire King Avatar Yaksha. I still like this guy. He's interesting. He's got the same effect that will special summon if a face-up Fire King is destroyed. But this one, when it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can destroy one card in your hand. And that's interesting. Like there's not too many effects in Yu-Gi-Oh that allow you to destroy cards in your hand. And so you have a lot of these Fire King monsters in your hand. You can destroy it from your hand without having to put it into the field, which is pretty nice. And this was the card that was missing from my first build, and that's the Fire King Avatar Arvada. I didn't have this card at the time when I did my first deck profile, so a lot of people were mentioning why don't I have that in there. And it's definitely a must in this deck. So when a monster effect is activated while this monster is on the field, quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do destroy one fire monster in your hand or field. So this is a really good effect. It kind of has his effect of destroying in the hand, but being able to negate a monster effect, I mean, there's so many monster effects running around nowadays, hand traps and all that stuff, so this one is a must. You probably want to open with this card if you can. And then for the last of the Fire Kings in this deck, I got 2 Fire King High Avatar Grunix. So this is your boss monster of the deck. I was debating on whether I should go 3, but you know, maybe it would just be too many. I'm not sure. But during your next standby phase, after this card was destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card from the graveyard. So all it has to do is get destroyed, and then it's going to come back next turn. And when it does, you destroy all monsters on the field. So you know, you can only really, like, if you had 2 of them get destroyed, one's going to come back, or they're going to come back. I don't know. It's kind of complicated. I think you can only really control one, because then the other one would destroy it. But anyways, so when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Fire King monster from your deck, except a copy of himself. But he's 2,700 attack, so they'd have to beat over a 2,700 attacker. So you know, it can happen, but in most cases you're pretty safe from that. And then, so that's it for the Fire King support. So for the rest of the support, I've changed it up a bit, and I've added in 2 Fire Fist monsters, which are both Beast Warrior, because there's kind of a Beast Warrior theme in this deck. So I got the Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Bear and Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Gorilla. So I decided to try one of each. This guy basically, both of them, they when they deal damage to your opponent, you get to set a Fire Formation spell card from your deck. And the bear just has another effect that you can send a tanky or a Fire Formation spell or trap from your side of the field to the graveyard to destroy a monster, and this one will destroy a spell or a trap. So I kind of put one of each, so you can kind of grab whichever one you need. And then I put in 2 of the Coach Soldier Wolfbark. more Beast Warrior support. So you could target one level 4 Fire Beast Warrior type monster from your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. Its effects are negated. You can only use the effect once per turn. So it can grab a copy of itself, it can grab one of the Fire Fist cards, or it can grab your Fire Kings, the level 4s anyways. So, I mean, really, you're going to use this for your Xyz plays, or pretty much that's what you're going to use it for anyway. And then I decided to keep the synchro aspect. So 3 Flambill Magicians. It's a tuner, level 4, 1400 attack. I mean, it's okay attack, but you're really just going to be tuning with it. Really a good target for one of your spell cards. And then we got one Inari Fire, which is a pyro. It doesn't really, it's a creature type, doesn't matter. But what it does is if you have a spellcaster, which is any of these 3 guys, in play, you can special summon this card from your hand. So then you'd be able to go into your synchro play or your Xyz play, whatever you need to do. Also, it kind of goes with the theme of the deck, is during the standby phase, after this face-up card on the field was destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it from your graveyard. So if you have to destroy him with one of your Fire King effects, he'll come back next turn. But also he's got 200 defense, which most of these monsters do for your rekindling play. So that's it for the monsters. Let's get into the spells. So obviously for the first one, we got Onslaught of the Fire Kings. Yeah, it's pretty much a must in this deck. I don't know if everybody runs it at 3, but I definitely want to see it turn 1 if I can. As long as your opponent controls a monster, well, I guess turn 1 if you're going second anyways. If your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, you could special summon one Fire Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast type monster from your deck. Its effects are negated and it's destroyed during the end phase. You can only activate once per turn. So you're pretty much going to grab your big guy with this one, or whatever you need. I mean, you can go into a level 4 to do and jump into a rank 4, or if you have, say you have this guy in your hand, you can grab one of the whatever and just go into a synchro play. So it's really up to you and where you are in the game, but definitely a must-have. And I've also added in 2 Ties of the Brethren, because I figure with this deck there's a lot of the Beast Warriors. So you got your Coach Soldier, Wolfbark, your Brotherhood guys, and you got your Fire Kings. So they're all Fire Beast Warriors. So Ties of the Brethren, you pay 2,000 life points, and then you can special summon up to 2 monsters from your deck with the same name, or same type, and attribute and level. So you could really get all your stuff into play and get yourself ready for a rekindling play. And so then we got 3 of the Fire Formation Tenki. This is your main go for your, I would say you'd probably want to grab the, depending on what's in your hand obviously, but you'd probably go for your Avada. But here's where you can also choose which of the Brotherhoods you might want to use. And, it might be a good setup, like if you can get a Tenki in your opening play, or maybe turn 2, pull one of these guys out, attack, get another Tenki. So it's really up to you. Also, it boosts up your Beast Warriors by 100 attack. I mean, that's little, but hey, every little bit helps. And then we got a Monster Reborn. Pretty standard. I mean, as long as this card's legal, I think everybody's going to play it. And, of course, the 3 Rekindling, which, this card coming up to 3 makes this deck really good, because you do have a lot of 200 defense fire monsters in your deck. So you got like 1, 2, 3, 4, quite a few, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 targets for that. So you're going to pretty much fill your, like, once you get your cards out with, like, say, Ties of the Brethren, and then they all die, or your Xyz with them, or synchro into them, and then they're all in the graveyard, then you're probably going to be summoning at least 4 cards off of this every single time you play it. I also decided to keep in 2 Circle of the Fire Kings. I just like it. It's a fun card to mess around with. Target 1 fire monster you control and 1 fire monster in your graveyard. Destroy that monster you control, and if you do, special summon the other monster from your graveyard. So you could do a lot of fun stuff, like attack with, say, your Borong, and then destroy him, which is going to get his effect off next turn. And then you can grab whatever's in your graveyard. So maybe your Grunix is sitting in there, or an Aravada or whatever. You could just swap out. So you could do a lot of tricks, or even set it. It's a quick play. So if your opponent goes to do something to your monster, you can just swap it out with one that's in your graveyard, and then they lost their target. And of course, Foolish Burial, because we are playing the Rekindlings, we're playing the Monster Reborn, and we're playing the Circle of the Fire Kings. So this will help set up your graveyard. Then I decided to add a little bit of draw power, so I threw in 3 Supply Squad, because why not? Your whole purpose of this deck is to be destroying your own cards all the time, so you're probably going to be drawing at least 1 card every turn off of these cards. So if you can get 2, 3 out, you're pretty good. And I went with 3 of the Fire King Island. I took out the Terraforming because I figure, you know, if you draw this, it's good. If you don't draw it, you can still play the deck. So it's not really contingent on this card being on the field, but it's a good card. And if this face-up card on the field zone is sent to the graveyard or banished, destroy all monsters you control. So, I mean, that can benefit you anyways. And then you could use one of these effects during your main phase. You could destroy 1 monster in your hand, or you control, and if you do, add 1 Fire King monster from your deck to your hand. So that's really good. I mean, that's your searcher of the deck. All you have to do is destroy 1 monster, which is what you're trying to do in this deck. Or if you control no monsters, you could special summon 1 Fire Wing Beast type monster from your hand. So, and the reason why I'm not playing Sacred Phoenix, if you're wondering, of Nephis, the one that blows up everything when it dies and comes back, all your spells and traps, I should say, is because I like to play, you know, tankies, Supply Squads, and Fire King Island, and I want to keep them on the field. I don't want to blow them up with my own cards. So that's pretty much why I decided against that 1 monster, but you could throw them in there as well. I mean, or side deck them, whatever you want to do. And so that's the deck. There's no traps in this deck. So let's get to the extra deck. So I figured Stardust Spark Dragon is a pretty good addition to the deck. Once per turn, during either player's turn except the damage step, you could target 1 face-up card you control, and it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. So if you're... Let's grab the other guy here. If you've gotten this guy out on the field, and then next turn this guy is going to come back to blow up everything on the field, you can protect himself, so you can make him not be able to be destroyed. This will come back, blow up everything on the field, and he'll still be there. So that was my thought, and it's really easy to make him in this deck. So then we have, I just threw in some good, level 8 Synchro monsters like Thought Ruler Archfiend, Crimson Blader, which is good because he's a fire monster, so you can actually use him with the, was it the quick play spell? You can use him with, wherever it went, Circle of the Fire Kings, so you can bring him back with that. It's pretty cool. Same with Black Rose. Now, Black Rose, you have to keep in mind, is not going to be the easiest to summon because you're going to need your 1 copy of Kirin, but it's a play. It can happen. You can have your level 4 tuner and then a Kirin in the graveyard. You can rekindle them out, and you can go into a Black Rose if you really need to. Colossal Fighter and Scrap Dragon. I just threw in what I like to usually play in my extra decks when it comes to Synchros. And the same thing with the XYZs. It's really what you have, what you can play. Like I play Abyss Dweller. Digestro Emerald is always a good card to bring stuff back into your deck. 101 Arc, just to steal their monsters. Castel, Utopia, Gagaga Cowboy, Diamond Dire Wolf. And I threw in this one, Violin to Sigma, because, you know, you could get 3 level 4 monsters out really easy with this, and once per turn you can detach an XYZ material from this card to target 1 face-up attack position, affect monster your opponent controls, equip that target to this card. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles a monster whose attribute is the same as the card equipped, destroy that monster. So it's pretty neat, and it's 2,500 attack. So yeah, that's all that there is with the extra deck. Anyways, let me know what you think of the deck. If there's any changes you would think would be better, or if you think I should take anything out. I always like to hear your thoughts. Hope you like the deck. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.